This video will be about shifts and stretches review. So if you remember back from first semester, we looked at how when we have a function, what sort of change that we make to the function, how will that affect our graph? Okay, so just a quick review of what these will do to our function in function notation. If we have something that is added to the outside of our function notation, that's going to give us a vertical shift. Okay, so that's a vertical shift. Okay, so if k is positive, so plus k moves up, minus k moves down. All right, now f of x minus h, this one is a horizontal shift. Okay, now this is the set that kind of gave us problems because this does the opposite of what we think it should do. Okay, if we have minus h, we will move right. If we have plus h, we will move left. Okay, so the important thing now is to be able to recognize, okay, if it's x minus h, it's moving to the right. If it's x plus h, it's moving to the left. Okay, and then the a out in front will give us a vertical stretch or compression. Okay, so if a is bigger than 1, we will stretch, which means get bigger. If a is less than 1, we will compress or get smaller. Okay, so that's what we need to be familiar with when we're looking at shifts and stretches in function notation as well as in graphs. So let's go ahead and do a few examples. Okay, so f of x plus 2, since we have this part outside of our parentheses, and it's adding, that's going to have us shift up 2. Okay, we're just going to describe those shifts. F of x minus 3. It's inside our parentheses, so it's going to be horizontal. And if we remember here, negative h moves right. Okay, so we're going to shift right 3. Our next one, we have a 5 out in front. It's outside of our function, so it's going to be vertical. Okay, and since we're multiplying, it's going to be a stretch. Okay, so we have a vertical stretch by a factor of 5. Okay, and we think about factor because we're multiplying. Okay, so now we're going to have some examples that have more than one shift or stretch going on in them. Okay, so here we have 1/2 times f of x plus 1. Okay, so here's our part outside of our function notation. And so we're going to have a vertical compression by a factor of 1/2 and a horizontal, now we're looking inside the parentheses, so it's horizontal shift. Let's see, this is positive. So that means we're going to do the opposite of what we think we're going to do since we're inside the parentheses. So we're going to horizontal shift left 1. Okay. Now our last example that we're going to look at in function notation. Okay, we're inside our parentheses. So we have a horizontal shift. No, we'll just call it a shift. We'll just give the direction then. Now it's negative, so it's the opposite of what we think it should do. So that means we should move right. We're going to shift right 4. And then outside our parentheses is going to be vertical. And since we're subtracting, it's going to be a shift. And negative means down 1. Okay? So if we're adding or subtracting, it's always going to be shifting. If we're multiplying, it's going to be stretching or compressing. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at some graphs now. And we need to describe the transformation that is going on here. Okay, so the figure in green is the original figure. And if we call that f of x, okay, there's our green figure. Now we want to bring it into, move it over to the pink figure. So we have a shift right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have right 3. And up, 1, 2. Okay, so that means that when we are writing our new function, we have f of x. So right 3. Okay, the opposite, since we're going left and right, the opposite of what we think it should do, so it's going to be minus 3. And then the up 2 part, okay, it's going to be plus 2 on the end. Okay, now let's go and look at another example with the graph. Okay, so once again, we have f of x in green. Okay, and we're trying to look at where it shifts to. So in this case, we're going to go 1, 2, 3 to the left. So left 3. And down 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 4. Okay, and we're going to come up with our new function. So f of x. Okay, now left 3 is moving horizontal, left to right. So do the opposite of what we think it should do. So left 3 is going to be plus 3. And then down 4 is going to be minus 4. Okay, now you've got a few questions to answer regarding shifts and stretches.